In 1944, as Allied tanks rolled toward Nazi-occupied France, a different kind of army was preparing for war. No bullets, no bombs, just paint, rubber, and sound effects. Their mission? Trick Hitler's forces into chasing ghosts. They were actors, painters, sound engineers, armed with illusions. And this top-secret unit changed the course of World War II without ever firing a shot. In early 1944, Allied commanders faced a terrifying truth. The Nazis were watching everything. Every real troop movement, every tank convoy, a potential giveaway. So they built a ghost, not just one. An entire phantom army with fake tanks, fake barracks, fake generals, and real courage. This elite unit was codenamed the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops. 1,100 men, no combat weapons, just radio gear, air compressors, and buckets of camouflage paint. Among them was Bill Blass, a 21-year-old fashion designer from Indiana, drafted not to fight, but to fool. He later said, "We weren't heroes. We were actors, playing soldiers in the world's deadliest theater." Their goal? Make 1,100 men seem like 30,000. Trick the Nazis into defending the wrong place, so real troops could strike where no one expected. This was the Ghost Army's first mission: create noise, create fear, disappear. Forget Hollywood. This was deception on a battlefield scale. The Ghost Army used 3 deadly tools: sight, sound, and signal. First, the visuals' inflatable armor divisions. From a distance, these tanks looked real. Up close, just air and paint. They used inflatable artillery, jeeps, and even fake aircraft hangars, all built to trick Nazi reconnaissance planes and scouts on the ground. Entire divisions that didn't exist were seen moving across Europe. Next came sound. Engineers from Hollywood and Bell Labs recorded hours of tank movements, gunfire, convoys, then blasted it through 350-pound speakers that could be heard 15 miles away. They could simulate a full invasion force overnight, with nothing more than audio tape and speakers hidden in trees. And finally, the ghost voice. Radio deception was a psychological weapon. The Ghost Army mimicked the voice patterns and slang of real units, tricking German interceptors into thinking real battalions were nearby. Bravo sector inbound repeat. Panther units rolling at dawn. They even used actors to impersonate generals, complete with forged badges, jeeps, and dramatic entrances. The Nazis weren't just confused, they were chasing ghosts. Every illusion was backed by math, maps, and nerves of steel. One wrong move, and the deception would collapse. They weren't typical soldiers. They were artists, illustrators, fashion designers, Broadway set builders, drafted not to destroy, but to deceive, distract, and protect. One of them was Bill Blass. Yes, that Bill Blass. Before he became a world-renowned fashion icon, he was designing fake tank tracks and uniforms to confuse the enemy. He later said, "The scariest part wasn't pretending to be soldiers, it was knowing real ones would die if we got it wrong." Arthur Singer, a wildlife artist, camouflaged tanks with such precision that Luftwaffe planes flew overhead and never saw a thing. His paintbrush might have saved more lives than a gun ever could. They lived in constant fear. No rifles, no armor, just rubber, paint, and the hope that the enemy wouldn't call the bluff. To the outside world, they were ghosts. But to the soldiers on the front lines, they were guardians in disguise. This wasn't just a stunt. The Ghost Army fooled the Nazis 22 times, across France, Belgium, Germany, and it may have changed the entire course of the war. Their biggest success? Operation Fortitude. The Ghost Army played a key role in tricking Hitler into believing the D-Day invasion would land in Pas-de-Calais, not Normandy. They blasted tank sounds, sent fake radio traffic, even had actors impersonate General Patton himself. Hitler swallowed it. He kept his panzer divisions locked down, miles away from the real fight. Historians estimate that thousands of Allied soldiers survived because the Ghost Army drew German eyes away from the real front lines. They didn't win battles, they prevented them. Rubber tanks, fake guns, and painted shadows saved more lives than some divisions with bullets. And still, almost no one knew they existed. 4 decades the world never knew. No parades, no medals, no mention in the history books. Why? Because the Ghost Army was buried beneath secrecy. Its soldiers were sworn to silence, not just during the war, but for 50 years after it ended. While the world celebrated D-Day, honored battlefield heroes, and told stories of courage, the Ghost Army faded into the footnotes. Some of its members passed away before their families ever learned what they truly did. In 2022, over 75 years later, Congress finally recognized their role. The Ghost Army was awarded the Congressional Gold Medal, one of the highest honors in the United States. They didn't fight with bullets. They fought with brushes, radios, and illusion. And they saved lives, all while the world never knew they were there. In a war built on brutality, a few brave men fought with creativity. They were illustrators, actors, architects, sound techs, turned into soldiers of deception. They didn't kill the enemy. They confused him. They didn't wear capes. They carried compressors and camouflage. Today, deception lives on, in digital wars, in psychological ops, in deepfakes and AI illusions. But back then, it started with rubber tanks and a sketch pad. History often remembers the loudest battles, but sometimes, the most powerful victories come from those who never fired a single shot. They were ghosts, they were artists, they were heroes. If this blew your mind, just wait till you see how the CIA used cats as spies. Smash that subscribe button to uncover the next untold story, only on the Time Navigator.